Did you know that Wooper would have destroyed the early game of Kanto even more than Bulbasaur, the well-known best starter of all time, at least until Mudkip or whatever? But there's one Pokemon even more broken, another water type with more power than you could possibly imagine. Hi, I love Pokemon, and one of the things that makes it interesting is the variety of Pokemon you can catch. So why not make as many Pokemon as possible available? The new games certainly have been trending in that direction, except remakes. Why on earth is this? Well, it's mostly to be iconic, but also you can't just randomly hurl Pokemon into routes. To prove this, let's just randomly hurl Pokemon into routes. Specifically, let's play through Fire Red and Leaf Green with the encounters you get at that point in Gold and Silver. First I grab a Chikorita, which destroys Brock even harder than Bulbasaur or Squirtle thanks to Razor Leaf at a silly low level. It's not that Chikorita is bad, it's that Johto hates grass types. Also destroying Brock is Totodile, Wooper, and Poliwag, which I think is nice since it gives even Charmander players a free win versus Brock instead of the hell they normally go through. Honestly, I would have added a Psyduck or something to Viridian Forest if I made these games, but that's just me. But the positivity falls apart once we get to Misty. This is because just having a Wooper in your party is enough to break the game. By sending out a Ghastly, you can bait Water Pulse. This water type attack will then heal Wooper thanks to Water Absorb. You can then switch back to Ghastly, and now, since the AI knows you could switch to Wooper for free heals, it won't want to use Water Pulse. This lets you set up a curse for free with Ghastly, and then just switch between Ghastly and Wooper. As if you start attacking instead of switching, the AI will realize what you're doing eventually. I guess they weren't expecting you to have a Pokemon they didn't explicitly code for you to have. Not to mention the AI is less aggressive at high HP. Poliwag also works for this, but I chose Wooper because they also destroy Lieutenant Surge. In fact, you can actually beat Lieutenant Surge by switching back and forth as well. This time to stall them out of electric moves by baiting them with a ground type and then switching to Ghastly. There are very good reasons Ghastly wasn't available in the early game, even though it was in Johto. Or you could just use Geodude like a normal person, I'm not judging. Anyway, next is Erica, who does not appreciate Sizzle's Aerial Ace. Especially not thanks to their dual resistance to grass and immunity to poison. But this one is kind of cheating since you can't actually get Metal Coat at this point in Fire Red and Leaf Green, even though you can in GSC. But Scyther isn't much nicer with Flying Stab, and Erica gets destroyed by most things anyway. From Alakazam to Butterfree to Pharaoh to I don't know, anything really. It's Erica. Next up is Koga, who gets destroyed by most things as well. But one thing which is really funny is that if you have a Magnemite, a lot of his Pokemon have no choice but to explode, but they'll only do so after they've set up all their smoke screens so you can set up double teams and dodge the explosion. Mutt can't explode, but can only hit with poison moves, so you can basically kill them for free with Shockwave. And as for Weezing, you can just curse them to death with Gengar. It's almost as if there's a reason you can't get Magnemite until after Koga. No, that can't be right. If that was the case, this team would be well balanced and not lose hilariously to a Gengar, a Pokemon you can get at this point anyway. Also, Scizor can set up with Substitute to dodge Smokescreen, and Double Team to discourage the AI from exploding, allowing it to easily set up 3 sword stances. This allows you to cleave through Koga's team with Return. But now we get to the biggest winner of Kanto only having the Kanto Pokedex, Sabrina, who can't hit a stupid Dark type. This means the only possible threat on her team is Venomoth. Oh, and the fact that Future Sight is typeless for some stupid reason. Whatever, Umbreon used Shadow Ball. And then as for Venomoth, just use anything else. There, Arcanine used Flamethrower. Although technically Umbreon is a Johto evolution, not a Johto encounter like Scizor again. So like, wait, is Umbreon the only Dark type available before the post-game outside of Sneasel and Crystal? That's really dumb. But I guess I'll have to try for this one on that technicality. I will show my respect by sweeping her with an underleveled poison type with no EV training. Look, technically you can't evolve a Crobat until the post-game, but no Johto Pokemon will evolve in general, so I'm counting this one, since we're assuming that restriction was removed. But I guess you could argue that the day-night restriction should also be removed. Whatever. But then we get to the last 2 gym leaders. Blane actually has pretty good type coverage by Kanto gym leader standards, but gets wrecked by Surf from pretty much anything, especially if you EV train, which I did not. This also applies to Giovani, so while I can sweep with Kingdra, Starmie, a Pokemon who, despite being available since the 5th gym even in the base game, just destroys everything. Forget the advantage versus every gym leader still to go, Starmie kills the entire Pokemon League. I level up to the Nuzlocke level cap with a Starmie with the worst possible EVs in nature and some HP and special attack training and fight Loreli, the only Elite Four member bulky enough to be a pain. She leads Dugong, who survives the Thunderbolt and annoys me with a body slam. After a bit of healing they go down, so next is Lapras, who also hits with a body slam but falls easily to a second Thunderbolt. Cloyster has such bad special defense that a Thunderbolt Thunderbolt is a free one-shot after Protect. Maybe this would happen more if I didn't give myself the worst possible stats. Anyway, Slowbro hits with a Surf after a Thunderbolt, so we both heal, putting me back in a better position than when they were first sent out. After another exchange of moves, Slowbro falls after healing, and last is Jinx, who is a bit of a pain, but with an intact Lumberry I can strike back with a Thunderbolt before being finally forced to sleep. Lorelei doesn't have any healing items left though, so I just need to wait to wake up before taking the win. If you've enjoyed this video so far, consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing so I know to make more videos like this. And it just gets easier from there. Bruno's Onyx gets Ice Beamed, and his fighting types get Psychic. Agatha is somehow easier with all of her Pokemon getting one-shot by Psychic, but I'll have to swap it out for Surf versus Drake, who leads Gyarados as I return to my strategy for Lorelei. Next up are the Dragonairs, but Ice Beams take care of them. Dragonite's extra bulk doesn't help much with a Quad Ice weakness. Aerodactyl can hit with an Ancient Power, but Surf puts them back in their time period. And finally, Blue. He leads Pidgeot as I click Thunderbolt. But unfortunately, we're back to the problem of the adamant nature I gave my Starmie. After some healing, Blue actually switches to Venusaur, who, for some reason, only gets Solar Beam. But that's a bit too slow, so I strike back with an Ice Beam. Next up, Arcanine, whose super effective bite is no threat as Surf finishes them off. Same with Gyarados, except a Thunderbolt is doing the frying. Pidgeot returns only for Blue to waste a few potions before getting crit to death. Alakazam sadly is another missed one-shot, so after we both heal with Recover, a Surf puts them in the red, causing me to question how many full restores this man is willing to waste. But nope, I get a crit. And last is Rhydon, who, do I even need to say it? Well, that was fun. Point is, Kanto is very easy to unbalance by adding unexpected Pokemon, but it wasn't exactly well made to begin with. And we didn't even get to all the stuff in the original games. Don't even get me started on Gen 1 Gengar. If you can think of any Pokemon from other generations that would break Kanto, like Golett or Frillish or Goldango or whatever, I'd love to hear about them. But anyway, I'm Lightheart, and always remember, some Pokemon just don't fit into some regions. But also your balancing decisions can't be any worse than Game Freak, so go wild.